Because we'll be able to follow along and
Need an apple.
uh-huh.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Credit Love Language Workshop. I'm so excited. I will tell you though, you're the freshman class. So just share with us through the chat any questions you have, any things you'd like to see done differently, and we'll make sure we do this. My name is Benita Adams. I am a professional realtor, and I have had in my mind, in my heart, in my mission statement that I need to give back into the community, into the real estate world, because that's one of my loves. And so thank you. Today is the beginning of giving back through education and conversation. So my question to you is, what is your credit love language? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Remember that first love we used to have when we'd be all in, talking on the phone at night, laughing, giggling, kikiing, whatever. That's the way I want us to grow to love our credit. This is a mindset and a lifestyle change. And there are going to be distinct benefits from this. You'll be able to buy the things that you want. You'll be able to get better rates on your insurance and your mortgage. You will get job security clearances, but most importantly, we will break some of the chains that are in our family, some of those legacies. Now, who is this workshop for? It's for anyone with credit, anyone without credit, anyone with bad credit, anyone with good credit, because we're going to educate you at all levels. The what is, I want you to, and all of us to understand that the world is changing and we need to change with it within our comfort zone. One of the things I know, cash is king, but credit is also king and queen as well. So we want to be mindful of that. Just as well as we buy the things that we want, the tennis shoes, the software, whatever it is we do, we need to make sure we're living within our budget, living within our means, and still building that credit that no one can take from us. So I hope after we finish, you'll fall in love. This is also for realtors and lenders. Through working with Jonas, I've learned to operate in abundance with this. And quite frankly, one of the reasons why I wasn't really stepping up to the plate with this endeavor was because I didn't want my other peers to take this from me. But at the end of the day, there's so many people out here that need our help, need our knowledge. And so who am I to hold it? So if you're a realtor, bring your clients. We're not going to take them. If you're a lender and you don't know how to help that person, or you don't have systems in place, we're putting them in place here through Scribble. So bring your clients, share this. We're not going to hold anything back, because at the end of the day, we're obligated to put the best of us, the best of our knowledge out into the world and help others. So let's stop the agent hurt. Let's stop the broker hurt. And let's start loving on these folks and showing them how to get to where they want to go with their credit. Let's help them fall in love and maintain love with their credit. So I've told you the who, I've told you the what, and I've told you the why. Where? Right now we're in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, but we're also live streaming on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. One thing I can tell you is credit is universal. So I do believe, with the exception of the state of Georgia, you will be able to work with repair services or work on your credit without any problems. Now, Jonas will tell us to deal with Georgia. I just know that that's one of the states. Win every day. This is a lifestyle change. This is changing our mindset. I think there's a big difference between getting approved for a loan or getting insurance and your credit score is at 580, or 400. And I've seen some folks where the score is below 400. There's a different mindset when you're at that higher number. So, yes, anyone out here can probably help you get, let's say, the biggest purchase is a home at 500, but it's going to cost you more. And on top of that, my fear as your realtor would be, will you stay in it? So today, we're changing mindsets, we're changing lifestyles, and we're changing patterns. We're going to do things differently. And we're going to understand how the credit bureaus work, what the government is trying to do or not do. And we're going to start making things right in our home. If we don't do the self due diligence, handle our stuff first, we can't expect anything from anyone else. So today, welcome to the Credit Love Language Workshop. You're the freshman group. Now, I'm going to introduce you to Jonas. I have some friends, Jonas with Scribble and Kevin with Pirate Mortgage. And I know I'm saying it wrong. He's going to correct us when he gets up. But, you know, he says he's the Denzel Washington in the area. So he's got those good skills, those acting skills. So we're going to call him Kevin Denzel Washington Newton. That's an inside joke. Now, I met Jonas a couple of years ago, and I was so frustrated with tenants and the situations that they were experiencing by not getting into the properties, and their credit would end up worse because of the hard pulls, and it was costing them more money. And so through working with Jonas, we put a program in place called Rent Ready. So from Rent Ready, we have moved it up to buyers and sellers. So that's what you're seeing today. I am very nervous about bringing this, but I know I have to do it. So I called Jonas. He's like all in. He's my business yang. I'm his business yang. All I have to do is think it up in hours. Jonas has it laid out. So with that type of behavior, there's no reason why I should not step forward, bring my friends, and we start changing the world. Kevin, I met him a few years ago through a transaction, and he has always been a constant in my business, and I want to continue to grow with him. And here's the odd thing, a fun fact. This is my first time meeting these two men face to face. With the advent of technology, we've been talking through email, Zoom, everything, social media. This is our first time meeting, if you all didn't realize that. And I say that to say that it doesn't matter where we are, where Jonas is, where Kevin is, or where I am. We're accessible to you. Just ask us the questions and we'll get back to you with the answers. So with that in mind, let me tell you, Nigel Gavin, he's here today. He is a media extraordinaire. He's a producer. He's a photographer, a videographer, an editor. He's on the rise. So look out for his movies. He's already 2 movies in. So look out for them. Okay? Now with that, I've done my introductions. I'm Vanita. I'm getting ready to bring Jonas up. And just let's give him a round of applause.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hey.
Okay, so I'm gonna have my juice up here with me. I'm gonna be talking for a minute. And my phone, so I don't talk forever, because I will. All right, guys, what's up? My name is Jonas Mitchell. I am the current owner and co-founder of Scribble. We're a home buyer education company. So some of you watching this at home are clients of mine, so you know who I am, and others probably received an email or text message or were referred to me by another loan officer, realtor, or whatever. For those of you that haven't seen me before or had a chance to interact with me before, hopefully you're in for a treat, because I'm going to share an insane amount of knowledge with you. And the goal of these things, just so you know, when I first got before getting sent to a lender to get approved for a mortgage loan, and then they'll just get denied. And not just one or two people, like we're talking 1 out of 3 people pretty much are getting denied every day, just all day long. And they're getting excited. They go to an open house, or they, have a conversation with their realtor friend, or they come across their loan not right. They have a conversation and then they get really hyped up and you should buy a house. Yes, I should. And then they just go, not having any idea about what the requirements are to buy. And then all of a sudden they get denied and then they're sad and deflated. And instead of, putting in the work to do better, a lot of these people will simply go back to renting and they just feel like, hey, now's not my time. So it just is what it is. So to help those people, you, hopefully at home, make sure that you don't have to go through that and you can understand exactly what you need to do so that you'll be able to buy that home. I started Scribble, okay? And so that's basically why we're here. You're going to learn about credit. We're going to talk a little bit about debt to income ratio just so you can have an idea about how it works. We're not going to go all in on everything. If you would like to have a one-on-one conversation with me about your specific situation, happy to do that. I'm going to give you some options here to see. But for today, what we're going to be talking about is the basics of credit, how to read your credit reports, and then talking about how to maximize your buying power. Okay? So with that being said, I hope you guys have a lot of fun. Vanita's giving me the question sign. What's that?
So I'm monitoring the live stream from here. They can talk in, so remind them if they have any questions, they can ask. We have a couple of folks on here. Want to say hi to Mariana and hi to Nora Neal Daggett.
Excellent. And if you guys can hear, if you can hear me speaking at home, just put a 1 in the chat just so that Benita can see. And then Benita, if you see a 1, just give me a thumbs up. Make sure everyone's good. Outside of that, guys, let's go and get this party started. Okay. Again, this is a workshop, by the way. So there will be some times where we pause so that you can get things done. So if you are at home, don't be expecting to just sit here and sit back and watch me talk for the next hour or so. There's going to be a little bit of homework, but it's going to be fun and things are going to be extremely helpful for you. Okay. Speaking of which, in-house, were you able to get access to your credit reports? Beautiful. Okay. All right, guys, this is the credit love language. I'm going to have to turn back this way because that's where the slides are, just to make sure that I stay straight, but we're going to be good to go. Okay. So Nigel, let's get to it, brother.
Nora gave us a 1. She can see and hear you.
Excellent.
Okay. And they are coming to us from YouTube. Yeah, so they're coming to us from the YouTube stream.
Excellent. All right, so just next slide. Yep. Okay, excellent. So I start off, if you've seen me in the past, you've definitely seen this slide before. I start this slide, or every conversation that I had with this slide, because when I was first introduced to it, it was this insane light bulb moment that I had. So I like to try my best to give that to as many other people as possible. So number one, it doesn't matter what you want to do in life. There's 3 essential ingredients where you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to be successful. And when I say guarantee, I mean get as close to 100% as possible. Number one, you got to be committed, right? Commitment is absolutely everything. And for anyone that's ever tried to buy a home, you know exactly how hard that is. It is insanely hard for a lot of people. Not everybody. Some people are just lucky. But for most people, it's one of the hardest things and one of the biggest purchases that you're ever going to make in your life. So you have to be committed. You have to be committed because if your credit score isn't great, then you have to work on improving your credit scores. And sometimes that takes time. If your debt to income ratio is too high, then you have to focus on paying that debt down or getting a second job so that you can make more income. If you don't have enough money for your down payment, then you have to put the systems and processes in place for your finances to be able to save that money. If your work history isn't right, then you have to work for an X amount of time to make sure that you're going to be able to buy that home. So there's things that you're going to have to do. Then once you get approved, by the way, that's not even the hardest part. I wish it was. Then you got to get out there and find the right home and write offers and get denied for those offers and over and over and over. And then finally you go into contract only to find out that the home's going to fall through at the home inspection, or you're going to get all the way to the closing table and then the loan's going to be denied, right? So it's a challenge. It's a struggle for a lot of people. But the beauty of it is that when you get into that home, you start building equity, and that equity will begin to grow exponentially over time the longer you have that home. And so, we were in my home for over 11 years. We've gone through, the regrowth of the real estate market, and then on top of that, through COVID, which every homeowner saw very wonderful increases in the home. So there's a lot of equity that's been built up that we can use later on in life, or we can use that to go out and buy a bigger home whenever we're ready. So this is something that is worth your time and it's worth your commitment level to do. All you have to do is you say, listen, I'm in, I want to do this. The next thing you do is that step 2, that right roadmap. So you just need to know exactly what to do. And so you can come and speak to someone like me. I'm a home buyer education specialist. You can speak with a real estate agent. You can speak with someone like Kevin, who's a lender, someone who can at least point you in the right direction to get started. Don't try to do this on your own. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of time. So make sure that you have the right roadmap for success and then the right support system. So once you say go, you want to have a professional that's working side by side with you at all times. And again, this is not just real estate. This can be anything in life. If I want to be a successful business owner, I probably should get a business coach, right? Which I've had many over my life. If you want to lose weight, you can do it on your own, but it might be good to have a trainer or maybe buy a DVD, right? Well, that would be a support system. Have a trainer right there or someone that can help you walk through that, right? Or a dietitian or whatever. So the idea here is that if you can stay committed and you're on the right path, meaning you know the exact steps that you need to take, then you have someone to hold you accountable. There's no way to fail, right? Like you can't. So instead of trying to do this on your own, my plea to you is to pay attention today, do as much of this work as you can. And if you find that there are any pitfalls or any red flags that you have as we're going through this, reach out to me, reach out to Benita, reach out to Kevin, or your own loan officer or realtor if you were referred to me and that's how you're watching this. Go to that person and then start getting the help that you need. Please don't try to do this on your own, okay? That's my plea to you. All right, next slide. Now, speaking of the right roadmap, we got to make sure that you know what that is. So this foundational level is basically where Scribble lives. So anything that anyone who has not purchased a home yet, you're thinking about buying a home, you want to get into that home, this is where you have to start. So step 1 is not filling out an application. That's what a lot of people think. Step 1 is also not finding the right home. Okay, most buyers believe that the first thing you should do is go and find the right home in the right neighborhood. Then once you fall in love, then go fill out an application trying to get the money. That's a recipe for disaster and heartache. Don't do that. You want to focus on your credit. Your credit score needs to be at a certain level before you're going to be able to get qualified. Your debt to income ratio needs to be below a certain level. Your down payment needs to be, well, depending on the loan package, either you don't need one or it needs to be a certain amount as well. And then once you have those things in place, then you go and apply for the loan. Okay, so starting with me, right, or someone like me, a credit specialist, a home buyer specialist, that should be the first person that you talk to make sure that you do everything that you need to do to get approved. Then once you get approved, then you get with your lender, and then once you're approved, you get with your realtor in that order. Okay, so this is the right roadmap. If you're at home, take a screenshot, take a picture, whatever you have to do. Make sure that you have it, and we will be sending the recording. So if you're registered and watching this, you're going to get the playback as well. Okay, but make sure that this is the steps that you take to go through and get to the next step. All right, do I tap a button, Nigel?
Oh, next slide.
Okay, and lastly, so as we're going through this whole thing, again, I am a home buyer consultations, home buyer specialist, education specialist. And so my job is to get you to the pre-approval. That is what I do. So if we're going through this and you're either not able to complete the entire video or you weren't able to get access to your credit reports and you couldn't follow along the best way as we're going through this whole thing, that's fine. Just text home buyer consultation to that number. That'll go straight to my business line, and then we will reach out to you as soon as someone can. Not today because I'm here, but if this is in the future, feel free to text that line, and then we'll get you scheduled for a home buyer consultation. We'll walk you through all the pitfalls and red flags that you might face so that you'll actually be able to get into your home. Okay. And this will be free for all of you. So that's a full 90-minute consultation. I promise you, you will not be sorry. And everyone gives it 5 stars so far. So I'm sure you will too. Okay, in today's training, we will be discussing reading your credit reports, improving your credit scores, and maximizing your buying power. That's exciting. That's exciting. It's going to be fun, guys. All right, let's go. Let's get to work. All right, so how to access your credit reports. So if you are at home and you do not have your credit reports in front of you right now, you should have received an email that said access your credit reports. So if you didn't get that, here's how we're going to do it. So number one, check your email and go ahead. So the first one is going to be Free Score 360. There's going to basically be a digital boost guide with these two options on there. Go ahead to number two. The other one is Identity IQ. These are the only two that I recommend for this specific consultation. Now, for people who don't have a credit card, you can look at the next one. If you don't have a credit card or a debit card, you can put in annualcreditreport.com. That's a free place to get it. They don't give you any scores, and the information is not nearly as organized. So between the other two, Free Score 360 is 100% free. You do have to sign up for a 7-day trial for both of those, the Free Score 360 and Identity IQ. You'll put in your debit or credit card. They'll authorize for $1 and give you $1 right back. And then once we're done here, you can cancel so that you don't get charged any money. So it's completely free to get your credit reports. And it's what we're going to be using because it's very clear and concise. It's what we use in my company whenever we're helping our clients. So if you don't have your credit reports right now, I want to give you some time to do that. So in the chat, if you have your credit reports, put a 1. If you do not have your credit reports, put a 2. And we can give people a little bit of time just to make sure that we can do that. So again, this is a workshop, guys. We're not just going to be talking and blasting all the way through. So if you have your coffee, if you've got some water, you're good. We've got to make sure that everyone does have credit reports. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to follow along. Okay, we got to have those credit reports. So Anita, let me know what we're looking like in the chat.
Okay.
Again, do you have your credit reports in front of you? Do you have them in front of you?
So Rashida says no.
Okay. And Rashida, do you have the email? And actually, Vanita, if you can type in the chat, https colon slash
https
colon slash Scribble fixes credit. You got to make sure everybody's caught up. So scribblefixescredit.com / digital boost guide.
Okay. Now, Nora has a question.
Yeah.
So Nora said, is the, oh, you don't get to see it up there.
Mm-hmm.
Is the credit report I received through my bank good?
So again, I'm going to recommend that you use one of these up here just because I'm going to be speaking directly towards it. Any credit report is going to be good as long as you can find the information. But I don't know what that credit report looks like. So if you're able to find the information, then yes, any credit report is going to be good. But I know how these work because I use them all the time. Another one, I know some people use Credit Karma. That gives you 2 out of 3, so you're not going to get all 3 credit reports. So that's okay. But again, I would recommend using these. Again, it's completely free. You get access, and then we're just going to cancel it at the end of the day. Okay. So let's give everyone 3. Let's take a what? 5 minutes. It'll take about 5 minutes, right? All right, we'll take 5 minutes. I'm just going to play some music. Take 5 minutes, guys. Get those credit reports, please. I promise you will not be sorry. I'm going to walk you through everything so you're fully aware of exactly what you need to do, and we can make sure that you're good to go by the end of this. We're looking to improve credit scores today, okay? Not tomorrow, not next week. We're going to do it today. Okay, so 5 minutes, Mr. Nigel, if you can play some music. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's do it.
Nigel, why can't you see it, see this screen up there like the chat? Oh, you see it. Yeah, if you give me your social media.
So that's it. So whoever, yeah, next week. Oh, trust me, you're gonna get all the tea today. All the tea today.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I said the
now
same
you
thing. Because I want to say,
I use it
because
for
I'm hustling and paying
I have that, but you know, this is so much more. I have that. Nigel, where do I go to get back to the destination? Come around.
Yeah.
Where do I go to get to the destination? So what is that? So when do you come back in? Oh, you're not here. This is my first time I've been here.
Right.
So we do this process,
That's right.
and then here, that part I have. No, the button. The button. No? What about here? Add a destination. What do you want to do? Facebook? Which one? Facebook? Page or group?
And I'm not young, but I'm gonna change my mind.
That's right. Yeah.
These guys that say stuff in
Okay.
26, that's a lot.
That's right.
When you walk in, that's what you're gonna be doing, start.
Yeah.
People don't know, I know. You know,
And we streaming it off on the phone.
it's
So go to
all-
Kevin.
And when you get a house, you start getting happy.
Kevin, up here.
And that's what it's
No, log into
That's right.
another account.
That's right.
But it's not bad.
No, that's
But I
good
wanted to
enough
know,
for
like,
a home.
I really came
Be a
to
Kevin.
learn. I don't have no good other than, and how, so.
Yeah.
It's anything I need to.
Yeah, I got this like a long
Cause I
time. I'll let
accidentally had a
you
hard
know, come back on my
copy come up
absolute.
like
I paid like
but the lady was
$89.
fast talking to me at the register, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't want no credits.
Tell 'em, Nigel, AppSumo is the truth.
Yeah, AppSumo is the truth.
A credit card was saying,
Interesting.
I didn't want it, but
Yeah.
that happened, and then I did go to maybe
Mhm.
and that's when I found out.
Cross that out.
Yeah, it's 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, for 2 years,
2
2 years to take me to next year.
Yeah.
And that'll be fine, be ready.
That's right.
That's
Well, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get all that. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's not bad at all. So usually, so
You didn't read my email.
So I suppose I'm gonna get more.
What's your email?
Yeah, but they usually like at 8, and then we go back home and start to keep it. So we're gonna keep it. That was on for that.
I'm not.
I mean, with those numbers, you can do it. Home run, yeah. We do that. Home run, but it's like so yeah, once you're ready, then you go to the next. Yeah, so that's what confirmation. I think we're good. It's been about 5 minutes, yeah?
Oh, I
I
need to
think
know.
we're ready.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been about 5 minutes. So if you don't have those credit reports yet, just continue working on getting them. And we're gonna keep this bad boy moving. So we're gonna go with time, okay? Let's get this party started.
got its own music too.
Okay. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So here's the deal. We all know that credit is not really taught in school. So I just want to kind of walk through the credit report. Now, the one that we're going to walk through is going to be from Identity IQ because theirs is sort of the cleanest. But regardless of where you're getting your information from, these 9 sections exist. Okay. But I like the layout for Identity IQ, so that's why I use that one specifically in this. But every credit report is going to have these 9 sections that are going to be there. And so we just want to walk through them so that you can kind of understand exactly what's going on for your credit report. Because most of us, we look at it, we know the score, like that score makes sense. The rest of it's kind of like, I don't really know. So we're going to go through the 9 sections so you have an idea of exactly what's going on with your credit. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. Okay. So the first section is going to be your personal information. Now, obviously, my company, we do credit repair, so lots of people come in, and when they first take a look at this section, they see like all types of names, all types of addresses, all types of phone numbers, maybe different social security numbers, like you name it. So what you need to understand about the personal information section is that there's about 300 plus credit bureaus that are out there. So we know the big 3, but there's plenty of them. So just like you got mom and pop shops that are not corporate at all, the same thing works in the credit world. So they gather all of this information up off the internet, and then they just kind of feed it up the chain, and then it gets to the credit bureaus. So if you see names that are not yours or your name, but it's not spelled right, you don't have to worry about that so much. It can't affect your credit at all. So like it's not going to stop you from getting approved for anything. Basically what they do is they use this information to verify that the accounts that are actually on your credit reports are yours. So what a company like mine will do is the first thing we do is we get rid of as much of the information that's on here as possible. You want to be careful. So I don't want you to just go home and start like, doing any type of crazy disputes on things that are going to put you in the wrong place. But if it's a name that's not yours, by all means, you can dispute it. Legally, there really only needs to be your legal name right now, your legal address right now, your legal phone number right now. So all the extra stuff doesn't need to be there. So if you're ever going to go through and try to dispute something, the first thing you want to do is go and clean this up. Okay, because if you clean it up, then if there's some negative information that's on your credit reports, and we'll talk about EOSCR later on, but there's like a computer system that basically does an auto verification. If that information isn't there, then you have a much better chance of getting that information off your credit reports. So personal information you want to pay attention to if you need to dispute anything. You want to clean this section up first. If not, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it can't harm you, but it can definitely help you if you are looking to remove items from your credit report. Okay. Next section is your credit score. This is the one that we all know. Now, I wanted to point this out. Notice that the TransUnion is 564, Experian is 668, and Equifax is 626. So each of the credit bureaus are actually only operating individually. They're their own company. They have no ties whatsoever. So you can have 3 different credit scores, and that's perfectly fine. That's why when you go to buy a home, the lender will drop your top score, they'll drop your bottom score, and just keep the middle score, right? So if these were your FICO scores, these are not. But if they were, then this person's credit score when they were going to buy a home would be a 626. They would drop the 668 and drop the 564 and keep that middle score. Okay, so just know that it is very possible to have 3 separate scores as you go through the process of improving your credit. So don't be alarmed if you see that. Next, risk factors. So this one is actually really, really important, right? Because you can easily have a very high credit score, right? We were talking about this. You can have a high credit score, 700, 750. Even my son, when he bought his car, his score was lower than 700, right? And they still gave him a relatively high interest rate with someone with that type of credit score because he had the risk factors. Even though the score was high, the fact that he had, which one is it here? Not lacking insufficient. It was basically too young, right? The credit was too young. But if you look at this person, you see what it says, there's a bankruptcy on your credit report. Well, if you have a bankruptcy, then you may not be able to buy a home. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. If you have too many inquiries, you really only want to see about 4 inquiries on your credit report per year. If you have more than that, it actually really starts to affect your credit score. We'll talk more about that later. Your balances on your bank card revolving accounts are too high, so your credit utilization is too high. So again, if you can't maintain this one credit card, even if I had $100,000 in credit, and at the same time he maxed out his smallest credit card, and his score dropped, like 60 or 80 points, something like that. But it was pretty crazy. He was like, why'd that happen? I have no negative information. Like, I have all this open great credit utilization, but the fact that he maxed out one card, that sends off a red flag to the system. Right? The system says if you can't handle this one credit card, then it probably shouldn't give you more credit. I don't care how much credit you have. Probably shouldn't give you more because you can't even take care of this one. Right? So that becomes a risk factor. So even though the credit score is really high, you can still get denied for credit because of these risk factors. So when you're checking your credit reports, you don't want to pay attention to your score. The score is great. Hey, look, that's a 750. Awesome. But then you come over here and you see stuff like this, you're still going to get denied. Okay? So very important to pay attention to your risk factors as well. So next. Okay, the summary. This is just the basic information. We'll be using the summary later when we start talking about debt to income ratio. For the most part, it just tells you what's going on your credit report as far as the accounts that you have open. So, your total accounts open, what's closed. Delinquent accounts is like late payments sitting for 30 and 60 days. Derogatory is 90 plus days. Collection accounts, charge-offs, collections, current balances on loans and credit cards, your monthly payments. So that's what the payments are. That's your monthly commitment that you have for any installment or loan account that you have reported in credit reports. Public records is going to be like your bankruptcies, your judgments, liens, things of that nature, and then inquiries, of course. Now, we'll talk about inquiries later. So, but inquiries, again, they stay on your credit report for 2 years, but you don't want to have too many. You don't want to be on here just apply. Again, that sends up a red flag. If the creditors are not giving you credit and you keep going, that's a red flag. If you get access to credit and you keep going, then that's also a red flag. So it's very possible for someone to have an 800 credit score, go and apply with Wells Fargo today for $50,000 loan, and they're going to get approved. The very next day, they apply with Chase with that same 800 credit score, that inquiry is going to show up, and now they're going to get denied. So even though the credit score is very high, because they just had that recent inquiry, inquiry to recent, they're going to assume that because you have 800 credit score that you got it, so they're going to deny you on that second because they don't want to overextend you. Okay, question.
From the audience, someone says they are not hearing you fully, so can you do a testing to make sure they're hearing on your end?
Yeah, absolutely.
Technical stuff.
Absolutely. So let's try this. I'm going to talk this way. All right, so testing 1, 2, 3, and then just going to talk this way. Does this change the effect of the sound? For the one, if that changes, if this makes you not be able to hear me, I will make sure that I don't turn this way and talk. Do we know where the microphone is?
It's right here.
Oh no, it might be better this way.
Yeah, stay within this area.
So I need to turn this way and talk. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, so continue. No one's saying that they can't hear you now.
Okay, cool. All right, let's continue. Okay, so the account history, basically this is where all of your accounts are going to live. So at the end of the day, when we are going through, this is where, like if somebody needs a credit repair, those types of things, this is what gives us the power to be able to challenge any information that's on your credit reports and then remove the accounts, right? So I'm just going to do a little pointing here so you guys can see this out. So notice right here where it says date last active, right? So we've got March 16th, we've got March 1st, we've got February 1st. So that's conflicting information. So at the end of the day, the FCRA says that anything that's reported on your credit reports has to be accurate. And how do I know which one is accurate if all 3 credit bureaus are reporting something completely different. So that gives me the opportunity to go into the credit reports or open up an investigation with the credit bureaus and force them to provide the proof on which one is correct. And if the information is not correct, then it has to be updated within 30 days. Otherwise, that information has to come off the credit reports. So although this account here is good, there's no negative information on here. So I want this account, but if it had late payments or if it was a collection account, then I would use that information to as sort of ammo to open up that investigation to hopefully have that account removed from the credit report. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. So when you're looking at this, just know that everything is supposed to be equal all the way across. All three bureaus should be exactly the same. And when they're not, that gives you the opportunity to challenge that information and then potentially get that account removed. So if you want to figure out how credit repair works, that's like a very, very small introduction of credit repair. That's how it is. But when you go in here, you want to make sure that all this information is correct. Because here's the deal, guys. When you're going to go buy a home, the lender doesn't care if it's right or wrong. This is the law. So if you have an account and they put on here this monthly payment for this account accidentally, that instead of $61, it's $610, then that's going to get counted towards your debt to income ratio. That's $610. So you got to correct it and have that information updated or get some sort of letter, and then you're going to be okay. Question?
Could Nigel put the microphone on the table? Is that possible?
Is it? Maybe not. Maybe we'll take it on. Okay, I'm going to stay as close as I can to the microphone. How's that? Okay, so everything needs to be correct on here. If there's a problem with your credit reports, you need to make sure that information is reading and reporting correctly, and then go and apply with your lender. So you should be doing all of this stuff before you can get to your lender. You can easily pull your credit reports. It does not affect your credit scores. Again, it doesn't cost you any money. Go in, get the credit report, and then make sure you're good, and then go speak with your lender when it's time. Okay. Yeah. All right, public information. So again, this is where you're going to find those bankruptcies, liens, judgments, things of that nature. And we'll talk here in a second about dead zones and when you can buy and when you can't buy for mortgages. But all you need to know is that this is public information. So I always tell people when it comes to your credit report, there's really not much that you can steal, right? Because sometimes people are like, well, I want to share my credit report with you. Like, I don't want you to steal my stuff. You can steal my identity. I can't steal your identity that way. It's not that easy. From anything that's on your credit report. Now, with the bankruptcies, this reference number right here, that does lead to public information to a court record, right? It's at the court. So that's the only thing. If you have a bankruptcy where that reference number is on there, they can go and find that case and get your information out. But again, I wouldn't really worry about having your identity stolen per se. Because number one, you should have identity theft protection. It is 2023 people. Your identities get stolen every 7 seconds in America. So you should totally have identity theft protection. It should be non-negotiable. This way, if something does happen, you just call them and they'll rectify the situation right away. Right? Like I had someone illegally authorized my account last week for $1,300. I called the bank. They put the money back immediately. Right? They were like, yeah, it'll take 48 hours. It was literally there within like 30 minutes. The problem was quick. That's the exact same thing that an identity theft protection company will do for you if your identity is stolen. So it's really important to have that type of protection, so you don't have to worry about someone's identity. Because if you go to the doctor and you've got an issue in your private parts, probably gonna have to pull it back your pants, right? It's gonna happen. So the same thing. I'm like the credit doctor, right? So don't be afraid to share any information with me. Like I need to be able to see what's going on. Once I see what's there, I promise you I can help you fix that situation so you can move forward. Okay. So just know that on here, this is the only type of information anywhere on your credit report for someone can try to find you, but they have to do a whole lot of homework to get there, right? Like they got to be real serious. People don't have time for that. So they got to work out how you're doing this through your credit report. Next. Inquiries. So technical difficulties still?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna pause for a second, and we're just gonna troubleshoot this microphone.
Give us some music, DJ. So Nigel, I have a lapel mic here, if that would help.
A lapel mic.
Is the input set to this microphone?
It's up to that microphone. It was working before.
So is everyone hearing the audio poorly?
Yeah, one person said it was scratchy.
You know, technology's only great when it works.
How about now?
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
So I have this,
Okay, wanna try that?
a lapel mic, and you can connect it that way or through this. Only a media guy will untangle the cords.
You gotta be clear.
Something that's a mile long.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Try it out. Test 1 2, test. Can you all hear me now? Voice coming through the microphone. Testing 1 2 3. This is my radio voice. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Coming through clear, guys?
Nora said it sounded like a radio station that needed to be tuned.
All right, we good now?
Oh, Nora says excellent.
There we go. Okay. All right, we can't have bad sound. Okay, so we're back in it, and we're on section number 7. So we're doing inquiries. This is basically a detailed history of who you applied with in the last 2 years. It only stays on for 2 years. So it's not that big of a deal. And inquiries aren't as bad as people think. We'll cover a little bit later. So you know, it's not that big of a deal if you have like a lot of inquiries on there. If you were, let's say, a dealership, they now group all of the they group all of the inquiries into one, so they give you the opportunity to shop around. So if you go to a dealership and they run your credit 20 times, it's one inquiry. It'll show up as 20, but they count as one. If you go to one lender, and another lender, and then another lender, you know, in a 1 week span, it's going to count as one inquiry. It'll show 3, but it counts as one, right? So just keep that kind of thing in mind. Not that big of a deal. That's another thing. People say, Jonas, can you remove all these inquiries? We can, but we don't. You know, some companies, they try to charge like $25 per inquiry to remove and all this kind of stuff. It's just an easier way to make money. Could I remove them? Yes, I could. Do I need to? No. We can improve your credit in much better ways, and you just make points as you need to do before. Okay, so we don't deal with inquiries.
Now, I was told that you shouldn't remove any inquiries that are older than 2 years because it resets that some kind of date. What is that?
No. So first of all, after 2 years, it's going to fall off on itself. So yeah, you don't even have to worry about it. At the 2 year mark, it's going to be off your credit. The danger with inquiries and removing inquiries is, let's say, for example, you open up a credit card or you bought a car. This is the story that I heard. So you bought a car with Chrysler, right? With the price of $300. It's nice. So you have this car, and then you say, hey man, remove these inquiries. Okay, cool. So now we remove the inquiry that Chrysler used to give you the credit, right? All of a sudden, Chrysler goes, oh, that wasn't you? Cool. Well, we're going to close this one and we want the money back right now. So now you have to pay the car back, which you won't be able to. Most people won't. And so you have to get the car back. So now it's repossession, and you completely run your credit all because you want to get rid of one little tiny inquiry that's really not affecting your credit score. Okay. So inquiries are very dangerous. Don't bother with them. There are much better ways to improve your credit scores. So just an inquiry is an inquiry. Stop applying to any places. Sorry. Okay. Next section. Okay, consumer statements. So they came up with the right idea that, if you dispute something and then they don't remove it, verify it, you can put your own statement on here. These statements don't really help at all, and I always recommend my clients don't make any statements whatsoever. Just leave it as is. Okay, we're going to fix it. We're going to deal with the actual problem and get it resolved instead of having to deal with putting statements like this, because this is not going to help you get into your loan or anything else that you're going to have. Okay, so you can put statements on there if you want to, but get it over. And lastly, creditor contact. So legally, anyone who's reporting any information on your credit reports. Sorry. So any creditor who's reporting on your credit reports, they have to put their contact information on it. That's legally there. So if they don't have their information there, you can certainly sue them if they don't have it, or remove the account altogether. One of the two, and then you're going to be okay. All right. So that's going to be creditor contacts. That's what we use to contact all the people that we need to dispute. Okay. So that is reading through what's on the credit report, the 9 different sections. So hopefully you learned a little something in there. Because now we're going to get into section number 2. Just kidding. We have more time. Where's the slideshow? There we go. Okay, so the first mortgage loan dead zone. So a mortgage loan dead zone is a time period in which you cannot buy a home. Okay, so the first one is a bankruptcy, right? So there's like 4 different types of bankruptcies. 2 really matter for you, the consumer. So chapter 13, chapter 7 are the ones that primarily we or you would be dealing with. I'm not going to go through all of the different levels of years because it's different. If it's a chapter 13, there's discretion. If it's chapter 7, it's 2 years automatically, and then some other stuff. So we're not going to get too crazy into it. If you have a bankruptcy, just know that there's a potential that you won't be able to buy your home for a minimum of 2 years. That's about the average time frame that people have to wait for bankruptcies. Foreclosures. So foreclosure depends on the type of mortgage loan that you want to get, whether it's a conventional or a VA or an FHA, whatever. The minimum that I know is 3 years. It could be longer than that, and then it also depends on the specific company that's going to be giving you the loan. They have the right to wait even longer than the minimum requirements. So if you do have foreclosure, that will also stop you from potentially stop you from buying. Next. A short sale is similar to a foreclosure. Short sale basically means that I'm going to sell the house for less than the amount that I owe on my mortgage. So if I have $300,000 left on my mortgage, but the home is only worth $200,000, I can negotiate with the bank so that they can, allow me to sell that home and walk away. Okay. Now, depending on the type of short sale that you do, you have to walk away scot free, and they won't come after you, or they could come after you later. Just depends on the bank. I've seen it where not only the young lady that short sale, the bank gave her $10,000 as well. So that was really cool. So that's something. But that one is also a red flag that may stop you. Late payments, specifically dealing with real estate, will put a red flag on your account. So, for example, if you had a mortgage from last year or within the last year, and you had some late payments on that mortgage, and then you want to go and try to buy another home, or a second home, or sell that house and get another one, that's going to put a break. And lastly, collections. Okay, so same thing. So if you have, and this will even work. So like a real estate collection would be something like a what's it called? A timeshare, right? So timeshare, they have the right to actually report that as a real estate related foreclosure or collection. So I've seen someone get denied for their mortgage loan because of that, right? So you just want to be aware that if you have any of these specifically reporting on your credit reports, that you want to check with your lender specifically, because every company is different. So whenever it comes to any of these things specifically that's reporting on your credit report, you want to speak directly to your loan officer and ask them what you're up against so that they can give you the specific requirements for their loan. Okay, that's one thing that I've learned in this industry. Y'all all different. Everyone's got their own requirements. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Rashida has a question.
Sure.
Please type it, Rashida. Oh, type the question. Name is Rashida.
What's going on, Rashida?
I don't know how to open up the sound, so tell them to type the question in.
Go ahead and type in your question, Rashida, and then we'll go ahead and answer it real quick.
What's your line?
And Marie, you're very welcome to ask as well.
So, oh no.
So I'm just gonna just focus on this. Pretty much stay right
Okay.
within this bubble and just present within this bubble.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, look, so this is a great lesson in life, right? So no matter what happens in life, when you're doing something, you find out that, oh, this is a problem. So I guarantee you on the next one, we'll have a couple of mics, right? You have some money in your bank account, in your savings, whatever, or just in your checking account, and you don't need it for bills, and I tell you to do something and you can do it, just do it today. Okay, I cannot tell you how many times I've had people send me a text message or give me a call like a month later and be like, oh my God, Jonas, my scores went up 74 points, my scores went up 100 points, my scores. Right, it happens all the time. So I promise you, if you do what I tell you, it's going to work. If you do half of what I tell you, then it's going to work halfway. If you do a quarter, well, it's going to be a quarter, right? Vanita, we went through this with, I can't remember the young lady's name. Yeah, Fatima, right? So same thing. I walked her through everything she needed to do. I came back and saw her maybe a couple months later, and I was like, hey, how's that credit score going? And she's like, it's going okay. It's like, mid sixes. And I was like, mid sixes? That don't sound right. Okay. So did you do everything I told you? And she's like, well, not everything. And I said, okay. I knew exactly what the problem was, and you're going to see here. But as soon as she did it, boom, credit scores up above, well into the 700s, right? Well, like within the next 30 days.
Actually, it went up in 2 days.
Right?
It was
So-
what was holding it back was the gym membership.
Oh, well, yeah, that was another thing. Yeah,
Oh.
so that was another thing. We helped her make some calls and do some stuff.
And it was
Right.
so simple. One day we were looking at properties, and she called you. By the time we got to the next property, she did what you said. It's not while driving.
Right? It's like, oh, how about that? Yeah. You know what I mean? How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, and I love those types of stories because they do happen all the time. And, the beauty of being human, right? Like all of us all together, we all have our own specialty. We all know what we know, right? You're in nursing. Oh my God, I was on coming home from cruise, right? We're in a van, just driving, like 6 of us. And I kid you not, this guy, or this young lady, she was like sitting up with her husband right here. And then she just goes, and just falls over. Right? And I'm like, what? So the driver pulls over, they like pull her up, and they're like, does anyone know CPR? And lo and behold, there's a nurse in that van, right? So she goes, I got it. No panic, no nothing. She just goes, does her little thing, boop, Lady sits up. She's good. Like nothing, right? That lady was there with me. I was like, ma'am, I have no idea. I am sorry for your loss, right? Like, I have no idea how to help you. But the nurse, was just like, oh, yeah, like, no panic, man. She was like, oh, yeah, no, I got it. Done, right? So we all have our specialty. That's why we talked about getting the right support group in the very beginning of this talk. Go to the people who know what the heck they're talking about, and then just do what they say. Don't be like all, what's the word when,
Overthinking.
yeah, with the closed-mindedness and starts with an A, close off to information.
It might be the wrong word.
Oh, well, I'm nice at it. It'll come to watch. I'll be like halfway talking. Oh, there it is. Anyway, when you close yourself off to information because you just don't trust people, right?
You think you know it all.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Like, go to the professional and then just do what they say. I've never been steered wrong so far. I tell you the whole time. I will spend my money all day long on anyone who knows what I need to do. I'm just very good. What do I need to do, bro? Like, just tell me. And then we do it, and then voila, everything is better and we're cool. Okay? So, with that being said, follow what we're about to go through. This is a workshop, so do the work. Okay? Mr. Nigel. Let's get it going. Okay, guys, so first things first, if you did get access to your credit reports, through the way that I shared with you, you got it through a company called Vantage, so get the next one. Through a company called Vantage. So Vantage Score is, Vantage is a company that was created by the credit bureaus back in the early 2000s just to kind of compete with FICO. The top 20 of the top 500 of the Inc. 500 companies, the wealthiest banks that are out there, the top 20 use Vantage. Everybody else uses FICO, right? So you want to focus on your FICO score. So if you're looking at Credit Karma, you're looking at Identity IQ, you're looking at Credit Sesame, those scores are not going to be your mortgage scores. Even when you're looking at your FICO scores when you log into your bank, those are 9 out of 10 times either FICO 8 or FICO 9 scores. That is not your mortgage score either. There's actually about 30 different credit scores that are popular, that are used and populated and brought into the population at all times. So know that if you want to see your specific credit, your home credit scores, you have to go to myfico.com, myfico.com, myfico.com. The minimum you can pay to get them is $30. So they're not free. But you can see exactly what your mortgage score is. So if your lender was going to pull your score, you would see that score. That is the only way to see it, other than going to your lender specifically and filling out an application so that they can pull the score. Okay, in which they still have to pay, right? Yeah. So you're gonna pay. You gotta pay. All right. So if you want to go to the lender, you can do it that way. If you're not ready to go to your lender, you can pull them yourself at myfico.com. You get access to them. It does not affect your credit score whatsoever. You can pull your own credit as many times as you want. No impact whatsoever. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
I know we're talking about mortgages, but a lot of people have cars. Should I look at go to FICO and myfico.com and look that up before I talk to the bank?
Yeah.
Or the lender or the card that I got before going for a car?
Absolutely. So FICO provides the credit scores for everything, right? And they break it up. So the way that you handle a credit card is completely different from how you're going to handle your car, which is pretty very different from how you're going to handle your mortgage, right? So they have all these different scores. So there's a bank score, there's a credit card score, there's a auto loan score, there's a mortgage score, right? So and then just like your overall credit score, with like all the different numbers, whatever. So that's why I say there's more than 30 when you go out there. So when you're seeing your credit score at home, that's not necessarily what you're going to see. And I'm actually going to point that out here in a little bit, because at the end of the day, the lender gets to choose what credit score they want to use to approve you. And some people, like Navy Federal, just create their own credit scoring system altogether. So they don't even have a regular credit score. Navy Federal, theirs is up to like 300 points. That's it, right? And that's how they approve you. So just be aware that it really is up to the lender to determine whether you're going to get approved or not. 9 out of 10 times, what I can tell you is that if you can make sure that your credit report looks good, it doesn't matter where you go. Whatever's on your report is really what they're looking at. The scoring models and the algorithms and all that kind of stuff, that's cool. but the credit reports is really what matters. And so that's why when people come to me and they say, oh, my score is this, or this happens here, or this happens there, I don't care. Because all I care about is what's on the credit report. If I can fix that, then the rest takes care of itself automatically. Okay. Now, scoring ranges. Now, what we care about is FICO up here. So this is the one that we really, really care about. Everything I talk about ever with people is going to be this one. But this is how Vantage breaks up theirs. Slightly different, but not important. Okay, for what we're trying to do. So at the end of the day, you can get into a mortgage with a 580 credit score, like the average person, right? You can get in at 500, but you need like a boatload of cash that most people with a 500 credit score don't have. So it's kind of like a nice gesture that you can get in with 500, but in reality, probably not. 580 for the average person is going to be the minimum that you want to look at. And then 620 is going to be that next level. So if you need a down payment assistance program, that type of thing, then it's probably going to be a 620. So when people come to me, generally we're aiming for like that minimum 620, so we can at least get you into like an FHA program. And then we want to at least get you to a 660 and above, so we can get you in a conventional, right? For most lenders, we'll do 660, some do 680. But for the most part, 620 is going to be a target if you want to buy a home, and then 660 if you want to refinance in the future to get out of FHA and save a boatload of money. Okay. So credit score range from 300 to 850, gives you about 550 points to play with, and we're going to break that down here in a little bit as to why that matters, because this is what's cool about credit. It's very much black and white. You got rules to the game. You follow those rules, you win. You don't follow those rules, you lose. Okay? That's my rules. Okay, so there are 5 categories of a FICO score. 5 categories that we're going to go through here today. So the first being payment history. That's the top dog. 35% capacity is also known as credit utilization. You've got your length of history, types of credit, and new credit. So we're going to go through that right now. We call this the pie chart talk. Let's do it. Oh, here was my question that I have for you. When does your credit score matter? You're here with me, Marie. Let's give you the first shot at it. When does your credit score matter? Bingo. Or anything, right? So that's right. When you're filling out the application is when it matters. So it literally doesn't matter. Like you can max out all of your credit cards if you want to today. If you didn't have any reason to go and like buy anything, you don't need your credit, you're not getting a new car, you don't need a new credit card, you're not going to get a house. You can max the heck out of those credit cards if you want to, right? I want to go and renovate my house. Cool. Max out your credit cards, renovate the house, pay it off, right? You know that once you do that, you're going to take your credit score, but as soon as you pay it off, voila, your credit score is going to be right back where it is. So unless you need to apply for something, the credit score, it doesn't matter. No one's looking except for you. It just kind of ebbs and flows as you go about your life. So when it's time, that's when we're doing this. So when someone tells me, hey, Jonas, I want to buy a house, we stop everything, and then you have to follow these rules. Okay? When when it's time to buy a house, we have to follow these rules. So whatever you were doing, whatever life was before the time I was going to buy a house, all of that has to stop, and we create a new sort of lifestyle temporarily so that we can get qualified for the loan, find the home, write the offer, go through inspections, escrow and underwriting, sign on a dotted line, get the keys to the house, right? And then you can go back to business as usual. Okay? But from the time you say, I want to buy, to getting the keys, this is what you have to do. You have to live this every day. Okay? Otherwise, you run the risk of getting denied or getting into the loan and then getting denied under contract, which is very painful. Trust me, I've seen it. It's not good. Okay? All right. So the first one is payment history. So payment history, tap it one more time. Payment history is 35% of your score. When we talk about payment history, we're talking about late payments, collections, charge-offs. Bankruptcies will fall into this category, even though it's also public information. Foreclosures will fall in this category. Short sales will fall in this category. Right? Anything where it comes to making a payment on time, it's going to fall into your payment history category. All right. So a lot of times I'll get people to come and they'll say, "Hey, man, I was looking at my credit reports. I always have like 3 accounts on there, and like each account has like 1 late payment. So like that's not bad, right?" The answer is no. That's very bad. Really bad, because 1 late payment by itself with no other information on your credit reports can lower your scores by as much as 100 points. One late payment, right? The same thing with this Fatima. When we remove that one late payment, voila, score shot. Okay. So at the end of the day, anything that's in your payment history category is going to be a bad thing. So if you have your credit reports, go and take a look. Go and pull up your credit report. You'll need to have them. And you're looking for anything that says 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. It could be a black black and white CO mark that's on there. Any of that information that is reported on your credit reports. If your scores are low, that is why. Okay? This is the single most detrimental place that will affect your credit reports, because as you can see, 35% of 193 points that goes towards your credit scores. And if one late payment is going to wipe away 100 points, then you're only getting 93 points. So if you start at 300, you're now at 393. Okay? So it's a big deal when you just get that one late payment. So you have multiple late payments, and it's a very big deal. Okay? So we call that detrimental information, information. And so if we want to do better, then we have to, well, there's really 3 ways that you can deal with it. So one, you wait 7 years, because negative information is going to stay in your credit reports for up to 7 years. Bankruptcies and other public information will stay on for 10. So you can wait, and it'll fall off. 2, you can contact the company that actually gave you the late payment, collection charge, or whatever. And you can try and negotiate with them and see if they would be kind enough to remove it. Sometimes they do, you'd be surprised. And then lastly, you have to go through the credit repair process, which we'll talk about later on down the road. So those are really the 3 ways that you can remove negative information that's reporting on your credit reports. Keep in mind, if you do have public information like a bankruptcy or a judgment or a lien, yes, it can be removed from your credit reports, but there's this wonderful little report called the Cabbage report, where that information will still line up. So if you attempt to submit an application for a mortgage and you tell them that you don't have a bankruptcy, they're still going to find out, and that is actually committing fraud when you do that. So don't do that. Okay, the bankruptcy, just like, right? So at the end of the day, now here's the deal: if the bankruptcy does come up on credit reports, the score will go up. Okay, so they'll still go by that score, which is cool. But at the same time, you still have to report, because again, there's that mortgage loan requirement that says you can't lie within X amount of time. So they have to make sure that they follow that. Okay.
Any questions?
With that, yeah, no, listen, guys, if you have questions as we're going, please by all means type them in the chat. But Anita's monitoring, so and she'll stop me, right? She just kind of puts her hands up. She says, "Hey, someone's got a question." I'm just gonna be laying it out for you. If you got a question, by all means, please type in the chat, and we'll get you read. You just say, "Hey, I got a question." All right. So that's gonna be your payment history. So again, if you see any type of negative information that's reported on your credit reports, just make a note on the side that we probably need to have a conversation. Okay. We need to have a conversation if you're seeing that late information or negative information. Next one. All right, so there's something called a rebound phase. So here's the beauty of it: that 100 points that one late payment is going to affect you on is not going to stay there forever. So there's a 2-year time period. So if you can imagine being on a boat, if you've ever been on a boat and you're sitting on the back and there's like that, I think it's called wake, right? That just kind of is all the way in the back, the trail of water with the waves and stuff. So eventually, when you get far enough back, the waves kind of stop, right? But when you're right here next to the boat, it's the most violent. Well, that's exactly how your credit scores work. So within the first 2 years of whatever happens, it's either very negative if it's a late payment collection or whatever, or very positive if you make a payment on time. So anything within the first 2 or the most recent 2 years that happens to you is what we want to pay attention to. I tell anyone that we can get you into a home, most likely if the negative information is outside of 2 years. We can probably get you into a home because we can do some things that will improve your scores enough to get you at least to that 620. If you have it inside the last 2 years, then we're really at the beck and call of the mercy of the process. And that's not something that someone can control and say it's going to take this much time to do. It's literally just a process. So at the end of the day, if you have negative information within the last 2 years, it's going to be more difficult for you to move forward. And you definitely want to go through that credit repair process to have that information removed as quickly as possible. If not, and it's past that, then you may be able to speak with your lender because you might be able to do some things that can move you forward. Okay, so By the time we're done with this, that's the question that we want to answer. Do I speak to my lender or do I speak with Jonas? Because if you want to buy a house, then we want to make sure that you're doing everything right. And you want to start off by having the right support system to do that. So if you don't have any negative information, you're probably in a very good space, and you're going to be ready to talk to either Kevin or your lender. And if you do have that negative information, you want to talk to me first. Okay. All right, credit utilization. This is one of my favorites because every time I have one of my clients and I see that their credit scores go down, and they go, Jonas, what happened? My scores went down. And the first question I ask is, did you use your credit card this month? And they always say yes. Oh yeah, I did. I had to buy this thing because this happened. And okay, there it is. So pay that off. Voila, scores go right back where they were. Okay, tap it again. The credit utilization is worth 30% of your score. This is what is it? 165 points. Now, keep in mind, guys, credit utilization is something that is well, tap the next one. Let's talk about it real quick, and I'll explain it to you. So credit utilization, it's measured in two different areas. Okay, two different areas. Number one, overall credit utilization, meaning all of the credit cards that you have. What is the total credit limit that you have and a current balance between all of them? And half of your score in your credit utilization category is going to come from that. Okay. On the other side, it's your individual credit utilization. So this is how that person who had, the $100,000 worth of credit, who maxed out one of his smallest credit cards, saw his score tank, right? Because they do measure by the individual credit card. So a lot of times what people will say is, oh, okay, or the thought process is, this $2,000 credit card has a 0% interest rate. This $5,000 credit card or $20,000 credit card has a 20% interest rate, right? So I don't want to put the money on that one because it's going to cost me more money to put it there. But then at the same time, they want to go and try to refinance their home, or they want, right? That type of thing. And so what happens is they use the small credit card with the 0% interest rate, even though they have the money, or the bigger card to do it. They tank their score, they go and apply with the lender, and then they get denied. And then they realize, oh, snap, I put it on the wrong one. Had I put it on the $20,000 credit card, it would have done anything to the score, and it'd have been just fine. Right? So that's why I say it matters when you're ready to apply. That is the most important thing. So understanding how credit works, and hopefully you're going to take this and maybe go back and watch it again so you can get it. But making sure that you understand how credit works, knowing that, okay, if I have a smaller credit card with a lower interest rate and another credit card with a higher interest rate, it might be more beneficial for me to use the more interest rate credit card because it's not going to affect my credit score and I can still make credit decisions. Okay, very important to be able to go through and get that. Okay, next one. So just tap right? Okay, sure. We'll finish credit utilization, we'll take a break. Okay, so how to calculate credit utilization? It's very simple. We're going to tap it 3 times. So it's your current balance divided by your total credit limit. So when you look at your credit card balance, all you're going to do is take your the total balance, or the current balance, do some division, divided by whatever your total credit limit is, and that's going to give you a decimal, and that's the percentage rate. Okay, so anything above 9% begins to lower your credit score. So if I only have a $200 credit card, 9% of $200 is only $18. So if I spend more than $18 on that credit card, my score begins to dive. So if I take that simple $200 credit card and I spend $100, and I'm now at 50% interest rate, I'm going to lose a boatload of points. If I just pay my cell phone bill, my $175 cell phone bill, I'm now getting no points whatsoever from that credit card, and it's going to take my score. Right?
So you're saying it has to be lower than 30%. So you're saying that it has to be lower than 30%.
9%. Wow. 9%. So the when you look online, it says 30 because that puts you in the good category. But if you want all of your points, it's below 9%.
Wow. That's
I told you, we're going to learn something today. All right? There's going to be some small little nuggets here and there. Okay? And that's why I say if you do all of these things, you're going to get the most amount of points possible. Okay? That's why we're here. All right? Next slide. So, example, someone with a $5,000 credit limit, they have a balance on that card of $2,000. We divide 2,000 divided by 500 gives us 40%. Right? So this person is utilizing too much of their credit in this case.
So you said it needs to be 9%.
9%. So if this was the case,
So you need to not use it. Or buy something very small.
Very small.
And pay it very old.
that's right. Right?
Why
So
is the
in this,
credit bureau or the credit card company saying 30% if it's not 30%? Because that seems like it's setting you up, especially people that have to kind of live on their credit card.
yep, so 30% goes into a new category. So when you say less than 30%, so the way you break it down, 0 to 9% is excellent, right? That's perfect. You get all your points. 10 to 29% is good, right? So this is where you'll lose points, but not a whole lot of points, but you will lose points. You'll see the score go down. When you hit 30, now you hit the fair category. So 30 to 49% is where you're going to start to see your score drop significantly faster. Once you hit 50%, 50 to 74%, they're dropping off, and then once you're 75, they're all gone.
Wow.
Right? So that's why you want to pay attention to how much of that credit card you're using, because if you use too much, you're going to see your score tank.
What,
right?
Question.
Yeah.
What happens when you have a credit card that you might use? Okay, for example, if someone has a credit card that you balance, the maximum it could be is $2,000.
Sure.
But you use it every day or all the time for gas or whatever. You pay it off. The same day you go back to buttons or the same month you fix it. You never have a balance to pay. Like when they say pay $20, you already paid it.
Yep.
So you just keep doing it over and over.
Sure.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, so the way you explained it, one is good and one is bad. So just to catch you guys up, the question Marie had was, what if you utilize your credit card, right, like either every day or like your everyday purchases, you get some gas, you get your groceries, you want to get those rewards points, right? I get it. I do the same thing because I like rewards and I want to fly for free. So I use my credit cards and I pay them off. So is that a good thing? So for my people who are looking to buy a home, is that a good thing? No. Okay, not good. Because remember, when it comes to buying a home and we're ready to pull that trigger, we want to follow all the rules. So the rules say keep it below 9%. We don't want to do anything. We want to put everything on debit cards temporarily. Once you get into your home, you can go back to utilizing and doing everything you do is perfectly fine. Okay? Use your debit card. Okay? Now, let's say once you're in the home, so we're not talking about this specific, situation. We're saying everyday people, they're in the home, they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Yes, getting rewards, that type of thing. But here's how you have to do it. Use the credit card and then pay it off as quickly as possible. Don't wait until the due date. Don't wait until the statement date. You use the credit card, next day pay it off. Use the credit card, next day pay it off. That's where you're already in the home. Because what happens is that there's the company's going to report to the credit bureaus. Now, it used to be where everybody reported at the statement date. Not necessarily the case today. They might report 1 time, 3 times, 6 times. I've seen the most where a company will actually report the information to the credit bureaus. So when you spend that money, that's why it updates so quickly, right? So I spend it today, I check my account 3 days later, and I see that my credit score went way down. Why? Because it's already been reported to the credit bureaus. You see what I'm saying?
For the scenario that I was just telling you, if a person's not going to buy it for next year, you can still do it.
Yep.
We can do it up and down.
You can do the up and down. So again, it's only when you hit that zone where you say, I'm going to buy a house, right? When you're in it and it's time to buy, you got to get committed. You got to follow all the rules, and you just got to do exactly what this is saying so you don't mess anything up. Just get everything right, save as much money as possible, right? Don't use your credit cards, because if you do, like what happens is, and you've seen this, this poor young lady, she really wanted this refrigerator. It was like this crazy good refrigerator, right? And so it was going to sell out before she got into the home. So she took her credit card and she bought this crazy refrigerator, and it maxed her credit card, her credit card out and tanked her score, and then she ended up falling through on the loan, right? Then you get the house. So it's like, come on, guys. Like, just
We have an audience question from Rashida.
Sure.
If I pay the credit cards off, what happens? And I'm not sure if she means pay them off each month or pay them off and don't use them.
Yes, so we do want to use them. Okay, we want to use them. Paying the credit cards off is the best thing you can do. All right, so it's really weird. Because, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, but at the end of the day, the more credit card limit you have, right, the better it is. But the less you use, it's also the better, right? So they want you to have $100,000 in credit, but you don't use it. And if you are using it, it's there to signify that, hey, if I have $100,000 in credit, but I max out 50,000, and some of those credit cards are 100%, right, and I can't pay them off, the reason why your score goes down is it's just telling the bank, hey, Jonas might be having problems, right? So it might not be the best way of time to give him some more money. Like, let him figure his stuff out first. When he can control it, he can come back and we'll be happy to give him as much more credit. So as soon as I paid off that 50, if I would ask for another 50 after I pay off the 50, he'll give it to me all day, right? But if I try to ask for 50 while I've got that 50 maxed out, then I'm gonna get it. So paying off your credit card is a very good thing to do. I recommend putting all your credit cards on some sort of subscription payment so that it doesn't get closed out. Something really small, a Netflix account, a Hulu account, Google storage, right? Something small, just so that the card's being used each month, so they're not going to close it on you. And then outside of that, just keep it low, right? Use it when you need it. If you're past the mortgage place, get some rewards credit cards, and then use them a lot because like I'm going to be going to New Orleans real soon, completely free because I use my rewards, right? So I do like credit cards. I do recommend using them, but when it comes to specifically buying a home, we have to pause all that just for a second. Okay.
Here's my question. Even with the case of the teen law, what is wrong with living a cash life?
Yeah, so there's a wonderful quote that I use, and it says, in order to build credit, you must pay a bill, and that bill must be reported to all three credit bureaus. So in order for you to build credit, for you to get points in the first place, you have to pay a bill. But more importantly, that bill has to then be reported to the credit bureaus. So the only thing that gets reported to the credit bureaus are installment accounts and revolving accounts, credit cards and loans. So if you don't have any credit cards and you don't have any loans because you love living that cash life, guess what? You got no credit. So there's no way to track what your spending habits are. And unfortunately, we do need to know what those spending habits are before we're going to give money. Okay.
And last question, do I, as a consumer, have the ability to record my purchases with the bureaus that don't pick it up? Can I do that myself?
So yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. I know Experian has like Experian Boost. I think there are some other like reporting companies that are there where you can report your rent, you can report your utilities, things of that nature. That is helpful to an extent, but it's not overly helpful. Like if I'm teaching someone how to improve their credit scores, that's not going to be my way to go. Right? That's kind of like a little cheat to get you some extra points to like help out if you're like just short of getting something. I'd rather teach you what the rules are, which is they focus on installment accounts, they focus on revolving accounts. So go ahead and get those. So now you're good to go. And they're not hard. Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so I think this is the last slide. Let's just make sure, and then we'll take a quick break since this is a workshop. Give you some time to stand up, stretch legs a little bit. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So we'll come back on length of history. We'll take 5. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We're doing good. Let's see where we are here. Oh, it's 11:32. All right.
Is this good information already?
Excellent. Right, so we'll see you in 5, guys. Okay?
Go right here and to the left. Joseph,
Yeah.
could you please
I was trying to be
share your document with me? It's taking a while to upload.
So essentially, Dan, what you're saying is that
right?
Denzel never shows up for his
I make
assignments late.
sure I read the memo for the scripts.
Everyone
Roll back.
says he's on time. He's there ahead of time for his job.
Everybody back, Medina?
Let's see.
All right, we're gonna fly through the rest of this so we can get to the maximizing buying power, and then we're out of here. Okay.
So you got 20 minutes.
Yeah. So the important stuff, the payment history, the credit utilization, that's the two biggest things that you really want to pay attention to. At the end of the day, if you can get those two things in check, the rest is really easy.
All ready to go.
We're gonna go.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's finish this bad boy up. So length of history is 15% of your credit score. This one is tap at 83 points. Now the great thing about this is that, well, not so great, I guess, is that we can't really affect it. That's why I always tell people open up as many credit cards or accounts as you want as possible, like early on in your credit career, because the way that it works is they look at it from your overall credit history. So how old is like your oldest account? But then they also look at what's the average of all of your accounts. So if I have like a 20-year average and then I open up a brand new credit card, it's going to cut that average in half, right? If those are my only two accounts. So I go from 20 years, crazy good, all the way down to 10 just because I opened up one account. I open up another one, it takes me even less, right? So you want to open up all your credit and get all that stuff as quickly as possible, especially like credit cards and things of that nature. Once you have them, then you can kind of just manage what you have and then you're good to go, okay? To get above that 800. So length of history, measured in two ways. Average history of all accounts, that's what I just said. I guess I was getting ahead of myself. And then total history for each individual account as well. So again, we're looking at one account, how long has that account been open? And then overall, what's the average of all of those accounts? How's that work? Okay. Now, the bad thing, as I mentioned, is that the only thing you can do is wait. Watch the time go by and do nothing, okay? Next one is going to be our types of credit. Now here, this is really, really important. So this is the third most important thing that's on this whole presentation, because at the end of the day, we got to be paying bills and we need to be have those bills reported to the credit bureaus. So if they're not reporting, then we can't build that credit. So types of credit is only 10% of your score with that credit mix, right? Which equates to 55 points. Not that big of a deal. Next slide. But like I mentioned, there's only two types of accounts that report: installment accounts and revolving accounts. That's it. So installment accounts or revolving accounts. And revolving account, a lot of information, a lot of moving parts. So you've got the credit limit, the available credit, the minimum payment, the credit utilization, interest rate, and current balance. So when you're tracking your spending, you want to track all of these different things so that you know what your current interest rates are for each of the credit cards that you have. I've met people with like 20 credit cards, right? So if you have all those credit cards, if you ever need to pay them off, you can, I like the snowball effect, but you can also use the avalanche, whichever. Start from the bottom and pay them off, or start from the top and pay them off. There's no right or wrong answer. But you can utilize all of this information to make those decisions and do that. When we're talking about revolving accounts, we have a home equity line of credit. You've got your credit cards and store credit. So like a JCPenney card or Sears card that no longer exists, right? And then you have your installment accounts. So installment accounts are pretty much black and white. So if you're not sure what the difference between the two, a revolving account means that I can swipe my credit card as many times as I want, and I can open up little micro loans, so to speak, as many times as I want. So swipe, swipe, swipe. As long as I stay underneath that limit, the bank doesn't care. If I do an installment account, I can borrow that money one time and pay it back one time. So even when you refinance a loan, they're not re-upping that loan that you have. They actually will pay that loan off, open up a new loan, and then that becomes your loan. Okay? So revolving accounts go up and down. Installment accounts, you can borrow one time, pay it back one time. That's it. Okay? Next one. Yep. There we go. So the perfect mix of credit accounts that you want to have a minimum of 4 revolving accounts and a minimum of 2 installment accounts open and reporting on your credit reports at all times. Okay, all times. So what this means is you got 4 credit cards and 2 loans. Okay, 4 credit cards, 2 loans. At the button. So we went ahead and took care of what you need to do. You should have already received that in your email. That's the same link, Marie, that we went to get access to the credit reports. Oh, where do you go? Yeah, right there. So scribblefixescredit.com/digital boost guide. These are secure credit cards. So if your scores are very low, I recommend starting with a secure credit card. Basically, you're going to give someone $200. They're going to give you a $200 credit card. They'll hold that money until you close the card. Once you close the card, they give you the money back. Okay. Some of these cards will graduate into an unsecured credit card later on down the road. So that's one thing to do. If you don't have, if you have a credit score that's higher than a 640, you're more than likely going to get approved for at least a low-level credit card. So what I would recommend is just Googling the company or the card that you want. So for example, Capital One pre-approval application, a credit card application. Chase pre-approval credit card application. Apple credit card pre-approval application, right? You see where this is going. And then you can do a pre-approval to see if you have a high chance of getting approved. Once you're pre-approved, then apply for the card. The pre-approval does not affect your credit scores at all. Right? So you can go and do like 100 pre-approvals today if you wanted to. Then just pick 1 or 2 to go through, or all 4 if you need to. Cool little trick. If you actually fill out 4 applications at the same time, but don't submit them, fill them all out, and then once they're all ready to submit, then hit submit, 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 submit. You have a much better chance of getting approved for all of them at the same time because you'll beat the system. All right, little hack. So in other words, for someone who's new, if you're going to open up the 4 credit cards that are here, and like you don't have any, right, or you have 1 and you have a score that's above a 640, you would just go and do your applications, your pre-approval applications, find 4 that you're going to be pre-approved for. Fill out all of those applications at the same time, but don't hit submit. Once they're all filled out, then you just hit submit, 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 submit. Right? Yeah, on 4 different tabs. That's right. So right away, just submit, tab, submit, tab, submit, tab, submit. Right, and then this way you have a much better chance of getting approved for all of them at the same time. And now be careful because if you're doing store cards, for example, remember store cards. The store is not the one giving you the money. There's a bank on the backside. So if you try to do like a Marriott, and then you also try to do Southwest, they are run by the same company. So if I try to do that little process and hit submit, I'm just hitting submit 2 applications to the same company.
What is the significance of 4? Okay.
Yep, that's a great question. So why, matter of fact, why 6? Even better, right? So 4 credit cards, 2 loans. Yes, that's just like this, right? But why 6 accounts? I get that question a lot of times. Why 6? Here's why. Remember, payment history is the most important category for the entire thing, right? It's 35% of your score. If you have 1 account open, it's just a credit card, and you make your payments every month, right? At the end of the year, you've got 12 on-time payments, 12 little green check marks that are reporting on your credit reports. Cool, not bad. But let's just say, because credit is black and white, that it takes 60 green check marks for you to hit, a certain level. So it's going to take you longer to be able to get to that 700 plus credit score if you only have the 1 account versus having 6 on-time payments at the same time. So we're just racking up payment history significantly faster than by just having that 1 account and that 2 accounts. Okay. Now for the credit mix, even though it's only 55 points, every point matters. So at the end of the day, lenders want to make sure that you can actually manage credit. So have you ever had an auto loan before? Yes or no? If not, then they may either deny you or still give you a higher interest rate because you've never had a car before. Your mortgage, if you've never had a mortgage, that will stop you from getting an 850 credit score. If you've never had a credit card, then you need to get right. So the lack of credit history is also why. So we want to make sure that we're getting credit cards and loans. And then inside those loans, as we're building the credit, we also want to make sure that we're doing, auto loan, mortgage loan, credit cards, etc. Okay.
So, question. If I have a credit card that has, say, $30,000 to $50,000 limit, do I need the other 3, or will that 1 be sufficient?
Yep, I would still get the other three,
Okay.
right? Because again, when we're looking at the payment history repercussions of having these accounts open, from a credit utilization standpoint, it's not going to matter. Because 30,000 in credit is 30,000 in credit. However, from a payment history category, you're still making one payment per month on that one account. You see what I'm saying? So the perfect mix is always going to be 4 revolving, 2 installment minimum. You can have more than that, perfectly fine, but you don't want to have less.
Okay, and the 4, the store credit cards count?
They do, however, I'm not a fan of
Why?
store credit cards because that means that you have to go to the store and buy stuff.
Oh,
So you
okay.
see what I'm saying? So I don't really like that too much. When we're talking about credit cards and credit utilization, more often than not, we're saying put a subscription on that card and then just leave it alone, right? Don't even bother with it until you need it, right? So again, if I'm a homeowner and I want to renovate my room, then yes, go do that. But if I see the new Air Jordans that just came out and I don't have the money in my bank account, but I got it on my credit card, no.
But if I have a credit limit of $1,000,
Mhm.
but I'm only using $40 or $50 of it each month,
Sure.
wouldn't realistically the company say, you're not using this
Mhm.
$1,000, so we're gonna drop you down to $250?
Sure. That is very possible, right? Very
And
possible.
then when I need the 1,000 or
Mhm.
something, have an emergency, now I don't have it because I've lost my 750 or 850 cushion
Yeah.
with that card. So
Yeah.
how do you keep
Yeah.
how do you
So
keep it from reducing your limits?
yeah, so it doesn't even matter if they reduce the credit limits, right? If they do, get another credit card, right? It's not going to be that big of a deal. If you have the income, right, meaning you're making good money and you're managing your credit very well, you're not going to have a problem getting access to credit. Like you're just not. So if they lower your limit from 8,000 to 1,000, and then you basically I would just call the reconsideration line and say, hey, I need to use my credit card, right? I see you lowered it. Can you put it back up? And they'll probably say, oh yeah, sure, here you go, right? But if they say no, okay, cool, just go get another credit card, right? If you have good credit, you don't have to worry about getting access to credit. You just don't. Like they're going to give you the credit. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what it is.
I'm on the side of the road, my tire is busted, I need
Yeah.
4 new tires.
Yeah.
So then I'm just gonna get the credit card at the tire company place
If necessary.
if they
Yeah.
they take it down.
Absolutely, if
there.
necessary, right? So credit is there to be credit, right? Like whatever you need in life, there's no wrong answer to how you should use your credit, unless you're using that credit just to like go and you know be frivolous and buy trips and just go vacation, right? But then you're also not paying it off. You're just racking up debt and then just slowly paying on it and paying the monthly minimum payment, right? Like that is not a good way to use a credit card. You're number one, you're paying way more for that vacation than you ever thought you were because you're gonna write 4 years down and you get extra $1,000 for it. So at the end of the day, like your credit cards, you want to use them for emergencies, like being on the side of the road. Absolutely, that's an emergency. You should always do that. If someone gets sick, you lose a job, right? Something like that. Yes, absolutely. Use the credit. That's what it's there for. That's why I tell people get $20,000 in credit. Don't just get your 4 secure credit cards and think that that's going to be it. Like that's the stepping stone so we can build your score. That's what this is about. We're talking about buying a home or whatnot, right? But if we're going to talk like next steps, yeah, we want you to get unsecured credit cards. And I want you to start getting rewards cards. And I want you to start doing like we talked about, where you actually use that credit card and then pay it off. That's what I do, right? Right? So absolutely, like when we're talking next level stuff, yes.
But
Yeah.
today is basic.
For today, none of that, right? This is about buying a home. And when it comes to buying a home, I want you not touching that credit card. Put a subscription on it and then leave it alone, right? Because that $47 payment, that $100 payment that you just bought, yeah, I just paid the $100. Okay, cool. But then it tanks your score, right? And now all of a sudden, when you're ready to go and talk to the lender, your score, because you're just building your credit, it drops you under where you need to be. You see what I'm saying?
And then we're saying we paid our bills on time
Right.
and everything, but we didn't
Right.
realize we didn't have the right mixture.
Bingo.
Okay,
Bingo.
got it.
Right? And then what happens is, could you just pay the $100 back off later? Of course, you're just going to pay it, but then you have to wait. Right?
Uh-huh.
So it's these little things where people make little tiny decisions that will affect them, and then it throws off what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Okay.
We are still having a bit of technical sound difficulty.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Man.
back and forth. So
Okay.
I do apologize if everyone can hear me. But does anyone have any questions? We have a quiet bunch. You have any questions, Marie?
No,
That means we're being thorough.
Okay, great.
Okay, next. We're going to finish this bad boy out.
Yes, we are at,
Okay.
stay on time, we are about 10 minutes.
Okay. So 5 categories of FICO. We got the new credit. This is basically like your inquiries, right? So hard inquiries, 55 points, 55 points. Pretty simple. If you go out and someone pulls your credit, it's going to ding your credit. If you pull your credit, it doesn't matter at all. Anyone can run a pre-approval, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't affect your score at all. Next. 2 tabs.
Now Rashida is going to type her question in.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she can hear me, but if you ask her to type in her question, I'll repeat. Appreciate it.
Okay, tap it again. All right, so notice it says 1 year score impact. So even though an inquiry will stay on your credit reports for 2 years, the impact is really only for a year. So after 6 months, it begins to rebound. And then after a year, there's pretty much no impact whatsoever from that inquiry. So this is why I always tell people, especially when we're going through credit repair, leave them alone, man. By the time we get done, there's no impact on your credit score anyway. Just don't go out here and apply for a bunch of stuff while we're going through the process, and you're perfectly fine. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna breeze through this part because this is really just an introduction to credit repair. We don't need to talk about credit repair because we're talking about credit building on this one, but basically just know that challenging negative and inaccurate information on your credit reports makes the impossible possible. So I can't tell you how many times I think Mr. Dixon was one of the people that had the best. He came to us with like a 5-something credit score, and then like within a month, that bad boy shot like crazy, right? His Vantage went from like, it was like 560 something. And this one was like 702 or something like that. It's crazy. 1 month, right? So that's the power of credit repair when we get in there and we go through the process. And it's going to be different for everyone. That is not the common answer. Some people it takes them years, even with credit repair, right? But 7 years or 2 years, which one's better, right? So at the end of the day, you want to just know that it is possible to have negative information like late payments, collections, charge-offs removed from your credit. Okay, next. And the way that we do it is going to be with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So you can Google Fair Credit Reporting Act. This little purple thing will pop up. It's a PDF file. It's accessible to everybody. It basically states in a nutshell that anything reporting on your credit reports has to be reported accurately. If it's not, it has to come off. In a nutshell, that's what it says. Next one is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So this is how we work and navigate the landscape with third-party debt collectors or anyone who's trying to collect money on you and how they're reporting that information on your credit reports. There's very specific things that they have to follow, and if they don't do that, then again they have to go away. And you just threaten to sue them, and they say, "I don't want to get sued because they're going to lose," and then they just take it off your credit report and it goes away.
I think this is the question Rashida has. She says, yes, so I pay them off. So if I'm understanding based on what you've been saying, because now we're in the credit building part, do we pay the cards off each month, like you're saying you're doing now that you're past the credit building, you are doing something else? How are you going to
so you should always pay off your credit cards.
Okay.
Yeah, that answer, you should always pay them off as quickly as possible. Don't wait until the due date if you don't have to. You know, sometimes if that's the way your money's set up, then that's the way your money's set up. But in a perfect world, you know, pay them off as quickly as possible. Okay. Okay, and then so Oscar. So this is the thing that happens when we see that there's something on your credit report that is clearly reporting accurately, but then it comes back as verified. There's this little thing here, and I took this directly from their website. This is Oscar, a browser-based Metro 2 compliance system that has been developed by Equifax, Experian, Innovus, and TransUnion. It's basically like their own little AI software. eOscar Web was designed to provide data furnishers with an online solution for processing automated credit dispute verifications. Automated credit. Okay, so when people come to me and they say, Jonas, what the heck? Like, this is clearly inaccurate. Why did you get it removed from my credit report? Automated credit, meaning a person didn't look at it. eOscar took a look at the information that we requested. And it'll say, and this is where we talked about removing that personal information. It'll say, hey, Wells Fargo, do you have this name? Yes, I do. Do you have this phone number? Yes, I do. Do you have this social security number? Yes, I do. Do you have this address? Yes, I do. Do you have this employer? Yes, I do. Great. Based off the information that you share with me, this has been verified enough so that the information is fine. And they go about their day. The credit bureaus get inundated with 8 million disputes a day.
Wow.
8 million. Okay? There's no way that any person can keep up with that. So as much as we want to complain and we want it when it's our turn to go through the credit repair process and get stuff removed, we get angry when eOscar has to step in and it verifies the information that we know is not correct. Because it's slowing down our process, right? But at the end of the day, we should be happy because it's because of this process that we can get this stuff off. Right? Like they're trying to keep up and they can't. And because they can't keep up, credit repair exists. But it's a process. And we have to follow the process. Whether you want it to go faster or not, it doesn't matter. I can't make it go faster. No one on the planet can make it go faster. So at the end of the day, just know that it's automated for a lot of that process. My job is to beat that system. That's my job. Okay? So the way it works, we start here at the top. We mail the letters off to the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus do an investigation. They're going to either validate or verify that information. They're going to update it or delete it from your credit reports. That's where the results come in. And then you receive the letter at the end saying, hey, this was, here's the results. And then we just rinse and repeat that process. So every 30 to 45 days, we're mailing out letters for our clients and removing information from the credit report. So that's why the process takes so long, 6 to 8 months on average. It's not that we're not in there working, it's just that we have to create the letters and we send them up, and then we just have to wait. And wait, and wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. Right? Yeah, I mean, 6 to 8 months, especially being someone who, you'll see they just have like a string of late payments, for a while, right? So clearly you were going through some stuff, it wrecked your credit, and so you want to now move forward, but if we did nothing, you have to wait for 7 years. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to take that 7-year process and condense it down, 6 months to a year. Okay. I think you would be happy. Some people are not. Okay?
I mean, you can get out of it as quick as you got into it. You got to look at how long you paid your credit. Like it is.
Right. Absolutely. So, but the beauty is, it helps. Okay, cool. So that's the process. So now we're going to talk about maximizing buying power. So here's the deal. Everyone will get access to this replay. So if you did get access to your credit reports, still? That's too bad. All right, so.
Nigel will check it for us.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm saying, because we're going to walk through this together. I'm just going to explain it to you. You have access to your credit reports, so just take notes as best you can, and then we can do it that way so we can.
We'll have access to the slides.
Yep, we can give access to the slides. Absolutely. We'll give you access to the slides as well. Okay, so all that will come in.
And they can come back next month.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll get the replay, you'll get the slides. If I have to reshoot this at home, I will reshoot it. If it doesn't come, this last part here to make sure you guys get this part, because I want to make sure you get it. So if the sound is not good, I'll redo this part at home, and then email it to everyone who registered so that we have it. Okay? That'll be easy. Okay, so let's run through it. I'm just going to run through it now, take notes as best you can so we don't go too long. Go. Okay, so now we're talking about debt to income ratio and how much home you can afford. This is one of the biggest questions that I get whenever people come in, because we all have that champagne eyeball every now and then. So we see that nice $500,000 house. We see that $500,000 house, like, yeah, that's definitely what I want. And then you realize that it's like $4,000 a month, you're like, I'll take that. Not that one. So this is how they come to that calculation. So next slide. So debt to income ratio is an important financial metric that lenders use to assess the borrower's ability to repay a mortgage loan. Again, they don't want you to overextend yourself just because you make $100,000 and you're like, yeah, no, man, I make $100,000. Like, I'm good. If I get a mortgage, yeah, but then like you're living paycheck to paycheck, and like, you know what I mean? Like, they got to make sure. Okay, so let's see how they do that. Now, here's a disclaimer. I'm gonna read it because it's long. But the more accurate you are with the information that you use today, the more accurate it will be when you submit your application for pre-approval. We literally have got these things to within about $25,000 of what the lender is going to tell you. So if the numbers you use today are higher than what is found to be by your lender when you submit your application, then your pre-approval will be lower. Right? So if you give the wrong information, you're telling you make $100,000, you give the lender says you make $80,000. Well, they got to go up at $80,000, not by what you say. They're going to verify it, right? However, if you say that you make $80,000 and the lender runs the numbers and it says $100,000, then it's going to be higher because there's more money there. Okay. So at the end of the day, this exercise is for information purposes only. No loans will be considered based off of this exercise today. However, I want you to have an idea of where you live. That is what's important. We have people who they look at these houses, they get like emotionally attached to them, right? And then they go with a realtor after their pre-approval and they start seeing what they can actually get. And then it's hard to get them to buy the house because they're like, no, I really want this. I can just keep renting. But why? No, I'm gonna convince you. All sort of stuff. So to stop that, we do this. Okay, so you can understand how it works. Let's go. Okay, so step one, what is your annual income? All right, write down on your piece of paper, on your notes, what is your income annually before taxes come out? Okay, before taxes come out. That is reported to the IRS. So we can't get your hustle money on the side, they don't count. If you're a bartender and you don't claim your tips, they don't count. If you're a business owner and you don't report all of your cash transactions, they don't count. Okay? So at the end of the day, we need the receipts. What's on your taxes, right? When you filed your taxes, how much was claimed on there? That's your income. Okay? So start that next. Now, here is the formula. You're going to tap it a couple times. Just follow it. Don't go too far. Too much. Go back to monthly. Okay, so annual income divided by 12. We're going to turn that into your monthly income. So just take whatever that number was that you wrote down, divided by 12. Okay, now you can go to the next one. All right, so then we're going to take, yeah.
I do want to say, in spite of the sound, we've been getting great reviews. Norma states, this info is invaluable, priceless. I'm sharing with my 22, 21, 20, 18-year-old man. How could that be? Because I see she only looks like she's 22. But okay. So this is valuable information.
Excellent, excellent. And that's what we try to do. We try to make sure everyone's on the same page so you know exactly how this whole thing works. Okay? Thank you, Norm. Okay, so now you're going to take that monthly income and multiply by, you got 3 different numbers. Okay, 41, 43, and 50%. 41, 43, 50%. Okay, we're just looking at the minimums and maximums of the most common loan packages. Watch this. How many loans do you guys offer, like loan packages?
Probably about 20 something.
20 something. Okay, there's no way that we're going to go over 20 different things. Okay, we're going with the most common. So conventional, VA, FHA, those are what most people get into. Standard rates. Okay, so again, the goal here is not to get tied down into which loan package you're going to get. We don't even care about which loan package you're going to get. You're going to get a loan, right? What we do care about is the process of how it works and what it looks like, so you can have an idea of where you're going to come in at. That's all we care about. That's all we care about. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just what it is. Okay, so you're going to take your monthly income times 0.41. That monthly income times 0.43. And that monthly income times 0.5. Okay, equals maximum approval. Okay, so we take a backwards approach to how this works. Because I I asked ChatGPT to explain debt to income ratio to me. They gave me a whole different formula. And I saw how they did it. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see how you got that number. I don't like it. So this makes a little more sense to me. This makes more sense to me. So basically what we're doing here, this number, when you get to this number right here, this maximum approval number, let's just say that the bank says that of all of your revolving debt on a monthly basis that you have, they will approve you if you have no debt whatsoever up to that number. Right? If there's no debt whatsoever, whatever this number is probably what you'll get approved for, somewhere around that number. Okay? However, if you have debt, we're going to talk about what that debt. If you have debt that's in there that's on a monthly basis, then they're going to take that number and then just subtract it, and then that's where you're going to come in. Okay? Hopefully I didn't lose you. So, no debt whatsoever. You do this part right here. That's probably about what your monthly is going to be, somewhere in this range. Okay? If you do have debt, this next part is going to show you, we're going to subtract from this number, and that will be the number that you'll most likely get. Okay? Speaking of which, let's calculate. Okay, so this is why we got access to our credit reports today. So what you're going to do is find, if you're looking at Prescore 360, this is one you have, right? When you get to your account summary, when you click on any of your credit reports, you'll see what says total payments. Okay, that number is just the total of your revolving and installment accounts. So installment debt and revolving debt, these are your monthly payments. So when people have credit card debt, it's affecting how much home you can afford. When people go out and buy 2 brand new vehicles, it shows right here, and this is going to get deducted from your loan approval. Right? Every installment loan, which is an auto loan, another mortgage, personal loans, student loans, if you're making payments, right? All that will show up right here if you get them. If you carry a very large amount of credit card debt, with high interest rates and all that good stuff, is going to have higher payments here. Those total, right, will get subtracted from that maximum approval number. You see what I'm saying? That's the issue. Every time we say, don't go out and buy that refrigerator, boom, you buy that brand new refrigerator, and it comes in one of these numbers, and now that increases your debt to income ratio and or lowers your credit score. There goes that loan.
So the payment amount is deducted, which reduces the amount you can afford
Yes,
on a mortgage.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it's so important. You can make minimal money or have little debt.
Yep.
You can still qualify for different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But people have debt. You have debt, massive debt, and on top of, you know, you try to qualify for a certain price point, then you may not get to your price point. So when you pay off your debt, like John was saying, I'm so passionate that he said that, is that it brings back cash flow back to your bottom line. That's your income on a monthly basis. So, you know, little debt you have, you don't have to make tens of thousands of dollars a year. You can make, I've had clients that make $8,000 a year, but still able to qualify for, you know, $400,000 house. So
Absolutely. No, that's 100% correct. Right? And it's these little details, right? It's the little details that matter at the end of the day. Okay, so yes. Okay, so if you have an identity IQ, so like if you're my client, you're watching this, and you have an identity IQ account, so same thing. So when you go to your credit report at the very beginning, the summary level where it says payments, that's going to be the one, and you're going to go with the one is the highest here. Okay, right there. Okay. Okay, so installment debt, revolving debt, installment and revolving debt, that's the first deduction that they're going to take away from your debt to income ratio and how much you can afford. Second is going to be collections. Now, this is back on Prescore 360. This is a third-party debt collector account with $113 in collections. Next slide. You're going to multiply your collection debt by 5% or 0.05. Okay, 5% of whatever the total collection debt is. Now, we were going to take a break before and do this, but didn't get time. So make a note that you want to add up all of your collection debt that's reporting on your credit reports and multiply by 5%. Okay, next. And we're going to show you a couple of accounts. So this is one that's on Prescore 360 if you have it. If you see where it says that there's a balance on the account, but there's a zero payment, that's a collection account. You'll also notice that it's red. Okay, so if it's red, the account is closed. There's a balance, but no payment. That means collection. Same thing over here. So this one is an installment account. This one's a revolving account. So notice it has a credit limit. It has a balance and a zero payment. And it's closed. Right? And it's also red. This is a collection account. Okay.
How old is it?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Just focus on collection accounts that are reporting on your credit reports. Again, I just want people to, it's the process, not the specific number, right? So there's details, there's minor details, it will confuse the heck out of you. Not important. It's just the process. Okay? Now, you may also see one like this. This is a charge-off. Okay, so collection charge-off, right? So it has the black CO mark. By the way, this is highly illegal. You're not supposed to do that. Well, I should. But you may see one black CO mark, or you see one that's like this. At the end of the day, CO is also charged off. If there's a balance there, that will also count. Okay? That will also count. So you're going to add up all of the different accounts that are reporting in collections, add up all of the total balances, and then multiply by 5%. That number will be subtracted from your maximum approval. Okay. Pop quiz. Just for fun. What's wrong with this account? Go back. What's wrong with this account?
They're charging too much. I mean, because their limit is 400, but their balance is 348. That's way over the 0 to 9%. So they're up in that higher detrimental area.
Absolutely. Great job. Right, exactly. Just want to make sure everybody's paying attention. Right, it's a revolving account, which is a credit card, it has a credit limit, but the balance is way too high. Notice there's a $30 payment, not going to help them at all. So this account would be very detrimental for this person. Okay?
Now, why is it if we pay off the old debt or pay off our stuff like that, that our credit score drops?
So if you pay off a loan, you close the loan. If you close the loan, you no longer make a payment. And in order to build credit, you got to pay somebody, right? So I always recommend either self or credit strong for people who don't have loans. This way, it's an installment account that acts like a loan. It's like $25 or $28 a month, and that's on that sheet that I sent earlier. I just recommend having that. So for people who don't have loans, or they're about to pay off their car, that type of thing, I just have them open up. And it keeps it up. Yeah, keeps it up. Okay. Now, if you have your Identity IQ account, same thing. This is what you want to look at. So this is number one. It's got the CO, so collection charge off. You'll see that with some payment status. It's got a balance, right? Status derogatory. It's got the payment status, says collection or charge off. It's telling you right here that it was charged off as bad debt. And more importantly, the date last active. That tells you the last time that this information of this account was active and being reported, that type of thing. And you see right here where it says 2019 or 2021. So if it's like really old, that tells you it's a collection account, right? Because there's a balance and it's not current. So balance, not current. Obviously, it says collection. So
Now you literally have 4 minutes.
oh yeah, we're almost done.
Okay.
Next one. Okay, so calculating student loan debt is the last piece of it. No. Okay, so with student loans, here's all you really need to know. Two choices. A, there's a payment here, or B, there's no payment. That's it. There is a payment, there's not a payment. If there's a payment, you don't have to do anything. It's going to get calculated automatically the way that we would calculate the installment and revolving accounts. Everything is cool. If there is a payment, nothing to do. If there's no payment, you see zero payment, then you're going to add up all your student loans and multiply by a 0.5%. So 0.005. So add up all the student loans and then multiply by 0.005. So you say, Jonas, that's not a lot. Right? It's not that bad. Go next slide. oh guys, 0.5% of $240,000 adds up, right? That's over $1,000 that's going to come off of that maximum approval. Okay, now I wanted to point this out with student loans because a lot of people don't know this, and this is crazy. When this person took this student loan out, that's how much the student loan was. $53,794 back in 2002. That's how much the loan was when they took it out. They put the student loan in deferment, and this is how much it is today. It's a trap. So when Joe Biden is out there talking about doing this whole student loan forgiveness and that type of stuff, people don't know what's really going on in the world. This is why.
Making money for the country.
This is why. You see what I'm saying? It's not that these people don't want to pay back their student loans. Yeah, if I borrowed the money, I would gladly pay back the money. But what about this other $190,000 that I didn't go and borrow the money for, but because he put it in the frame, now here's the kicker. Most people don't know this happens. I bring this and point it out to every client that I ever see with a student loan, and I ask every single one the same question. Did you know that this happens? And they all say the same thing. I have no clue.
Don't have
I have no clue.
a medical degree.
Yeah, 400, 500,000, right? So that 0.5%, it really does add up for some people. And in this case, for this person, it does add up as well. So you just have to be very careful in understanding exactly what you're up against when you're going in to buy the home. So if you can be aware, like when this person comes in, if we say, okay, cool, yes, that's it'll cost you, $1,400 or whatever that number is, $1,200 that off of the loan, but instead we can take you and put you on an income-based repayment plan, where instead of paying that $1,200 back, maybe you're going to pay $300 or $400 back. Now the lender's going to use that $300 or $400 payment versus the 0.5%, right, for 12. So at the end of the day, there's options for people to be able to get into the home. You just have to make sure that, well, you're talking to the right professional so that we can get you there. Okay, cool. All right, and that's it. So next slide. All right, so last piece. All right, so your maximum approval is just the maximum approval minus the total debt gives you monthly mortgage approval. Your total debt, as we just did, is just your installment revolving debt plus your collection debt plus your student loan debt. Right, so this is the whole formula. So if you want to copy that down, take a picture, maybe you can screenshot. This is a formula of what you can afford.
So it occurs to me that I can calculate how much my mortgage would be an estimate before I even sit down and talk with Kevin.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And this is what we want people to start doing. When you get to Kevin, we want to make Kevin's job so easy, y'all, that he's just gonna be like, okay, yeah, okay, here you go. We got you, give me these documents, and it's approved. Right, next person comes in, hey, nice guy, and it's approved. Right, that Kevin's life needs to be like that. It might be so much better if it was.
So much better.
That's what we need it to be. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose. Getting rid of the hurt, because it hurts everyone. He doesn't like seeing people get those applications. That's kind of right. You know what I mean? It hurts the client. It hurts him too. I promise you that. Because I was a realtor, and every time my clients would do that, I know how it feels. So trust me. The reason why we're doing this is that we want you guys to understand what to do so that you can get out there and do it. That's the whole purpose. Okay?
All right,
And I think that's it. Yeah, oh, last thing. So this is for the people. This is for the people. Go to Zillow.com/mortgage calculator, plug in your number, 3.5%, and then match that number here. So you just play with it here. So whatever you want to play with your home value. Whatever your maximum approval number is, make sure it matches that number right there.
Okay.
And that's it. We made it. Woo. 2 hours. You are very welcome.
Now, do you need a minute, Nigel, to
Yes.
connect?
2 minutes.
Okay, put on the timer. So we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Okay. Got it? Get some nuggets?
Oh, yeah, right there. My nugget is a bill. I don't even know. My issue is
She said she don't know what to say.
my issue is not their issue. Their issue. They cannot come to the kind of issue I got.
So Kevin, you know you literally have minutes.
Yeah, so I don't think it's gonna be required, Nigel, a PowerPoint. We're just gonna just
Yeah, we can just go straight through it.
bam
Yeah.
and just give it to them and we'll
Like,
be out.
You got, see, I got up there and just run my speech off. Wasn't it good, Marie?
Yeah.
No notes. Look, this is all I had. Who, what, when, where,
Had your
and why.
had your notes and stuff like that.
No, look at my notes.
It's perfect.
5 words.
Bullet points. Yeah, that's how you do it. Straight
Who,
to the
what,
point.
why, when, and when. So I'm getting zealous. Huh?
You're a Demi Moore.
Demi
There you
Moore.
go.
Oh, she's good.
You gotta go for Demi Moore.
She's good too.
Oh yeah, Demi Moore is good. I love Demi Moore.
Mhm.
Okay. Hit us back up, DJ. Let us get.
Oh, we back in.
Yeah. Okay.
We're back in.
Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, cool. My name is Kevin Newton with Success Mortgage Partners, powered by Centennial Lending Group, CLG. And Jonas, if you all don't know about credit now, I don't know where you all were at, because Jonas just covered like a plethora of information about credit. So you should be skilled and equipped with the credit piece. And we're just going to just hit on a couple things real quick about the home buying process. And we're just going to cover 3 essential things about this process. And those 3 things are assets, which cash, and Jonas talked about credit, and we're going to talk about income. So those are the 3 essential things that you need to have to purchase a home. You can't purchase a home without income. You can't purchase a home without good credit, and you can't purchase a home without any money. I've heard people say, yeah, I bought a house with no money. I would have to question you on that. You gotta have money to purchase a home. Now, with assets, cash, you can use many different sources of cash. You can use like your bank account, like your checking, savings, money market, 401k. and you can use down payment assistance programs to help you with the home buying process to help with your down payment. Now, based on those funds have to be seasoned in your bank account. So the money can't be in your backyard. It can't be in your mattress. You have to have the money in your bank account. So, because we're gonna have to source where that money came from, and you gotta, because we're gonna ask for 2 months of bank statements, 60 days of bank statements. So, checking or savings or your 401k, typically your 401k or thrift savings plan will cover a quarterly statement, and we need to see all pages of the bank statement. So, if it's 8 pages, it needs to be 1 of 8, 2 of 8, 3 of 8, and so on, and so on till we get to 8 pages. Now, if people ask me all the time, how much do I need to save to purchase a home? And that number can vary. That can depend on how much you qualify for. So now, Jonas gave you the blueprint of how to calculate your debt to income ratio. But typically, I always tell people that you want to have 3% of the purchase price of your down payment, money saved. And that can give you a start. And also, key thing, and some people say this is a curse word, but a budget. Have a budget. Have a budget. And the easiest way to do a budget is know whatever your net income is. So when we qualify you for a mortgage, we use your gross income. But when you do your budget, you want to use your net income. So take your net income and look at all your expenses from your bank account. So, your bank account may be full with, Amazon, but you may have to cut back purchasing from Amazon because you have that credit card attached. Like Jonas said, you got to be at 9% of your usage. So you got to look at what you're spending your money on. After you know what that is, then you subtract your net income from your expenses, and then that tells you how much you have left. That's what your monthly nut is. So you know how much you have remaining to either put towards savings or put towards emergencies and things like that. So when you're looking to buy a house, I always tell people that if you're renting for $2,000 per month, right, and you want to buy a house of $2,500, start practicing that $2,500 payment. So if you're paying $2,000 for rent, put $500 aside. So you're actually paying $2,500 per month. Technically, like you're living that out realistically, but you're putting that $500, off to the side. So you're paying $2,500 per month. So you want to save, want to do that budget, because that's very key. Because me as a lender, I don't know what your budget is, and clients sometimes think we do, but you have to tell me what your budget is. And based on what your budget, we qualify you for the max purchase price you can qualify for. But you have a budget of what you want to pay per month. So that could be $2,500. You want to probably be at, roughly like maybe 380, low 400s. So you want to make sure that you qualify yourself based on what your budget is. Now, if you don't know how to do a budget, we can help you with that. Jonas goes over that, I'm pretty sure, with his credit counseling piece. So you want to definitely, go through that part as well too, and do that budget. Now that's assets. Now credit, Jonas already talked about credit. Our minimum credit score requirement is 580, but we want your credit score to be the highest as possible. So make sure that, you get with Jonas, working your credit. You know where to go to get your credit pulled. Like Jonas said, you can pull your credit as many times as possible through the sources that he said that you can pull your credit with. Now, when it comes to income, we want to make sure that you've been on your job for at least 2 years, right? So you have a 2-year work history. So that shows that you have been consistent. And if you are switching jobs, then you want to make sure that you're not switching jobs in the process of your home buying process. So, for example, you're in contract and you find a house and then you switch jobs in the middle of the contract. Guess what? That could delay your closing, And because you're going to have to wait at least 2 weeks to get a pay stub. And typically with some loans like FHA, for example, you're going to need to have at least 30 days of pay stubs. So you're closing in 30 days, you may have to push your closing back another couple of weeks in order to purchase your home because you got to show that pay stub from that new job. Now for conventional, it's different. So, we can take your offer letter and typically sometimes we can just use one pay stub. So you want to be careful with that. So you got to let your lender know, you got to communicate with your lender real thoroughly because we are your guide. We're your guide through this process and we don't know what you're doing. But anything, if you think to yourself that is wrong, then it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Like Jonas said, person went out and bought a refrigerator. They had to have that refrigerator and they needed to get that refrigerator and they didn't have any more left. And they didn't get their home. Same way when you buy a house, when you're going through this loan process, you can't buy a car and that changes your debt to income ratio and you don't qualify no more. So with the job, make sure that you work on your job. If you change jobs to another department, that still doesn't throw off your work history. So if you've been working on your job for the past 2 years, that's fine. That's the critical piece there. And also we need to know who to contact to verify your employment. So if you have a supervisor, we need your HR department number so we can call and verify your job history within 2 weeks before closing. So we know that, you're still working there. I've had clients who have, lost their job prior to going to closing. So, and that's awful. That's something awful to, have happen to somebody. So the biggest thing I'm just saying, just communicate with your lender because your lender, you want to make sure you choose the right lender because, you're going to be providing a lot of information to that lender and sharing that stuff. Because if you don't tell your lender, guess what? We will find out before you go to closing, either through cavers or when the title company does a title search, we will find out if you had any judgments, any liens, state tax liens, you owe the IRS. We'll find out all that stuff eventually. So be transparent with your lender and let them know, what your situation is because we want to get you into the house and get your family started out with building their financial wealth. So this is quick and to the point, but if you have any additional questions, we're going to be doing more of these, credit love languages and doing some other things, Jonas and Vanita. And just let us know if you have any additional questions about this process because like Jonas said, you definitely want to ask the expert. Your auntie and uncle, they are good resources, but you want to also come to the experts and, ask us the tough questions so we can navigate you through this process. So my name is Kevin Newton. I'm with Success Mortgage Partners, and I'm glad you all attended this presentation, and I hope you got something of value from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, it's okay right there.
Okay.
So thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you for your questions, your participation. Most importantly, I'm going to also thank the folks in the room, Kevin, Jonas, Nigel, and Marie, our in-person person. I know we put a lot of pressure on her, but she held up. So one thing I'm taking away from this, in addition to all the information, but the main thing is trust your expert or the person you're doing business with. If you don't trust that realtor, that lender, or your credit coach, that may not be the best relationship for you. So but also they have to trust that you will tell us the information so that we can position you properly. We're going to be doing these again. Our next one is July 20th. Please tell everyone about this. It's free, so there's no reason why you cannot show up. You'll be able to come to the office or do live stream. Thank you for your patience with the sound. As I told you, you're our freshman workshop. So we have a few things we're going to work on, but thank you. I really appreciate it. Take care. Buy that house and start falling in love with your credit. We want to get you from hate to like to love. And that requires certain behavior, and that requires a day-to-day situation with your credit. So this is a lifestyle change, mindset, lifestyle, action. So if you're in it, I'm in it with you. Take care. God bless.
No, so that's what I'm saying, is the
Good job.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So if you
So we
stay
just
in
need-
if you go from nursing, you get to nursing there.
I don't know if I can stop what I'm missing.
You can stop.
So really, I'm 67 years old. You think I'm gonna keep working?
Can you play music for a little
Yeah,
bit?
because you
A few minutes?
Yeah, but I'm ending the recording though. Want me to end the live stream?
But I work